The word of the week this week is oikodomeo. Oikodomeo, I build. Literally, it's the building of a physical structure, whether that's a house, a temple, a pyramid, or a palace. Figuratively, it's the building up of people, a person or a group of people, even the whole community or the kingdom. So you can think of it this way. Oikodomeo literally is the building of an edifice. Then oikodomeo figuratively is edifying people, whether that's individually or in groups. Most of what I want to look at today is Paul's use of oikodomeo and oikodomein, the infinitive form of it, because it's used widely and it's used with a different sense from Jesus, from Peter, from throughout the New Testament. It's used heavily, but Paul's take on it is particularly interesting, and that's where we'll spend most of our time. But first, a quick look at a literal example. In Luke chapter 6, verses 47 and 48, we read this, and this is from the ESV. Everyone who comes to me and hears my words and does them, I will show you what he is like. He is like a man building a house who dug deep and laid the foundation on the rock. And when a flood arose, the stream broke against that house and could not shake it because it had been well built. So the part that I want to carefully look at is the part where Jesus says he is like a man building a house. Okay, so let's take a look in Koine. Hoimoios estin anthropo. He is like a man. Then oikodomunti oikian, the participle form of oikodomeo. Oikodomunti is a present participle, like a man who is building oikian. So I want to take a sidebar for a second and give you a bonus word of the week. So oikian is from oikia, the feminine form of the word house. There's a masculine form, oikos, and there's an interesting thing if you search through the New Testament and look at all the masculine uses of oikos and all the feminine uses, oikia, what you'll notice is the masculine form generally just speaks neutrally, valuelessly about any building, any structure. There's no heart ascribed to it. It's just a building. It's just the physical reality of a building. The feminine form, oikian, here in the accusative, oikia in the nominative, is also used as a substitute for household, home, or even family. So the masculine is just the structure. The feminine is where your family lives. And when Jesus says this, according to Luke's capture of the parable, he says he is like a man building a home, a household. So if you're building a house as a contractor, your emotional investment, your care level is probably not the same as if you're building the house that will shelter your family. If your children are sleeping in there when the storm comes, you really want it to be solid and in good shape. So Jesus says, a man who hears my words and does them is like a man who's building his household where his family will live. Oikos, masculine, oikia, feminine. Bonus word of the week. Anyway, there we see it in the literal. Now we move on to Paul using this word to describe the task of the Christian community, for whether it's the apostles, the local leaders, or all the members together and individually. Paul sees this word, oikodomeo, oikodomein, as instructive for how the community is to live with one another. In 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 11, right at the end of a paragraph about people waiting for the return of Christ, Paul gives them this admonition. Let's look at it in the ESV. Therefore, encourage one another and build one another up, just as you are doing. So let's take a look in Koine. Dio parakalete allelus. So therefore, encourage one another. Parakalete, same word we get the Holy Spirit, paraclete, the counselor from, right? The advocate alongside, the one called alongside you. This is the imperative. Encourage, allelus, one another. So this is a community task. Encourage one another. Kai oikodomete, here comes the wild one. Haste ton hena. So encourage one another and edify or build up one the other one. This is a Semiticism. This is sort of taking a Hebraic notion and putting it into Koine. So first he says to them that they, with the two different imperatives, first he says, keep on encouraging one another. That's your community task. And keep building up one another. And literally it's hena in the nominative case, the subject, and, haste in the nominative case, and then ton hena in the accusative case. So the subject, one, building up what? The object, ton hena, another one. One building one. So it's a fascinating little notion. Encouragement happens as a group. Everybody's lumped together. So paraklete, allelus, we encourage one another. But the edifying, the building up, is one of another one. Its edification is one-to-one work. And then he ends it with kathos kai poete, just as you are doing. So he's like, you guys are doing a good job as we're waiting for the return of the Lord. Keep doing what you're doing. Encourage one another, and don't forget to be a part, engage in that one-on-one work of edifying, of building up, of enhancing the structure. So here's another real quick example from 1 Corinthians 8:1. Paul says, now concerning food offered to idols, we know that all of us possess knowledge. And then we get to the rub here. Look at what he says in Koine. He gnosis phusioi. So knowledge puffs up or makes conceited. He de agape oikodomeo. But love builds up. So everybody's got knowledge, and he's living in a time of Gnosticism where it's a buzzword. Everybody's got knowledge, but when it comes to eating food that's been offered to idols, it's one thing to share knowledge. Knowledge will puff people up, may puff up the one doing the sharing, but it's love that builds up. It's love that edifies, oikodomeo. So edification has love as a motivation. That's an important part of what Paul says here. Love is the driving force behind edification. You can share knowledge for self-aggrandizement. You can share knowledge just to communicate the facts, but to genuinely edify someone else is an act of love. Pretty awesome stuff. So just as in 1 Thessalonians 5:11, it's one person investing in another for the benefit of the other. Oikodomeo, I edify, I build up. One person investing in another for the sake of another. If you've ever been in the recovery community, in the 12-step recovery community, it's kind of like edification is step 12, right? So oikodomeo, great word. I build up, love it, good stuff. You know what to do. Like, share, comment, all that good stuff. And until next time, Karis Kai Reina Humine, grace and peace to you.